and how to utilize and respect this species in order to heal and elevate humanity. We are here today to discuss with our panel of experts all things functional mushrooms. However, there is a re-emergence in Western society to reconnect at the medical and research levels as well with psychedelics and in particular psilocybin. Research and clinical trials are being conducted at prestigious institutions such as Johns Hopkins, Harvard, Yale, Stanford, NYU, UCLA, and many others in the USA and globally. Currently, in clinicaltrials.gov, there are listed approximately 100 clinical trials in phase 2 investigating psychedelics. They are not only studying these compounds for mental health, but also many other acute and chronic conditions such as inflammation, traumatic brain injury, asthma, irritable bowel pain management, fibromyalgia, migraine, dementia, anorexia, glaucoma, gambling addiction, color blindness, and the list goes on. Just to be aware of some top-level items, stay tuned for in August of 2024, as there should be an announcement from the FDA, Food and Drug Administration, on the submission by MAPS, Multidisciplinary Association for Psychedelic Studies, for their NDA, their new drug application of MDMA. This is going to be an historic event in the psychedelics field, so pay attention to that announcement in August. Many states are decriminalizing psychedelics and implementing different models of approach, the medical model and the service center model. If you want to know more about this, look into what's being implemented in Oregon with Measure 109. If you are further interested in what is going on right here in the Garden State of New Jersey, Google S2283, which is our very own Magic Mushroom Bill, the Psilocybin Behavioral Health Access and Service Act. If you really want to stay up to date in what is going on in the world of psychedelic research in the US and globally, follow me on LinkedIn. I post multiple studies and articles daily. That takes care of the top level research I thought needed to be mentioned. However, today we are here to talk about functional mushrooms and all they have to offer. Here again, functional mushrooms have a spectacular range in their spectrum of utilization, from clearing up radiation disasters at Chernobyl to space colonization, used for chronic wound healing, addressing climate issues as remediation tools, even being used in computers as sensors. The mushroom market size is projected to surpass 102 billion by 2023. So can mushrooms save humanity? Let's find out from our panel, which is the all-female panel in honor of Women's History Month.
Yeah.
Welcome, panelists. Let me quickly introduce them. Thunder Walker, Cheryl Murray Powell Esquire, Jim Burns, Neil Cohen, Kara Mizzou, Diane Church-Willis. Panelists, please take a minute or two and tell us where you hail from, and more specifically, what you do in the mushroom space. Let's start with Little Thunder.
Hello, everyone. I'm so excited to be here, and thank everyone for preparing this wonderful event. I personally have a unique discovery of mushrooms. I was the person that always had my gardener either pulling them out, cutting them out, and it wasn't until I started the process of learning about mushrooms that I realized how much I needed mushrooms in my life. I actually own a dispensary in Oklahoma. I am the state director for Minorities for Medical Marijuana in Oklahoma. And I have beautiful children that are all over the place, and one is autistic and nonverbal. So all of that impacted my life. And I lost my father, who was extremely, extremely important in my life, basically the steering wheel to my car. And mushrooms helped me put all of that back together and put me in a place where I could completely function without brain fog. And so I started doing microdosing with mushrooms, and then I actually keep those opportunities available in my store in Oklahoma. And then I have the Thunder Walker experience and the Smoke Currency Tour, which allows me to travel around the country doing a Montessori style education process of teaching people about plant medicine.
Thank you, Thunder. Cheryl, my friend.
All right, excellent. Thank you, Guy. I have the privilege of working with Guy on the Justice Foundation. He's also a board member. Shout out to the Conservancy. What a beautiful space this is. Who knew? In New Jersey, you have this beautiful space where you feel like you are involved with nature, even though you're in the inner city. So as stated, my name is Cheryl Murray Powell Esquire. I'm a cannabis, agricultural, dietary supplement trade, and psychedelics attorney. I've been practicing cannabis law for 8 years and probably psychedelics law for about 4 years. I also want to shout out one of my best friends, Trinette Morris, is in the back there. She flew in from Florida just to be with me today. So always, and she was at the first cannabis event that I spoke at. She was there, and she's been an avid supporter ever since. So I just wanted to recognize her for that. But in my journey, I started out shortly after I took the bar, passed it, practiced law for about 6 months before I, found cannabis law, and it was a very spiritual event for me where God was like, look at cannabis law, and I was like, I don't think that exists, and I Googled it, and it really exists, and it was happening right then, right now, so I needed to get involved in it. From cannabis, I started reaching out to Black and Indigenous farmers and saying, hey, it's happening now, get involved. And then I realized I didn't know anything about agriculture, but not only did I not know about agriculture, but they didn't have support. They didn't have legal support. There are all these Black farmers, small farmers that were being gypped everywhere they turned after they harvested this crop. And they didn't know how to move forward in a way that demanded equity. So I got really involved with historically Black colleges and universities, specifically Tuskegee University, speaking at their Black Farmers Conference and things like that. And then my first paying job in cannabis was with the CBD company Green Rose. And they eventually sold for about, I don't know, somewhere around $40 million or something. It was a mom and pop organization when we started, custom bottles, doing labeling and things like that. And that was where I really understood that in the desire for legalization, hemp-derived CBD will probably be considered a dietary supplement, and there was that relationship with the Food and Drug Administration. So I was like, in order to preserve this space for my people, my culture, I need to understand it because there aren't any lawyers for them to go to with regards to dietary supplements, with regards to proper labeling, with regards to understanding excipients and things like that. And then from there, when my clients got large enough that they wanted to have an international platform, I got involved with trade and licensed products in Jamaica and licensed products in the UK under Novel Foods. And then eventually, psychedelics, I got opportunities to get cannabis and psychedelic conferences like Canadelic and some other platforms, and really understood that, who knew that there are culinary mushrooms, there are functional mushrooms, and then there's psychedelic mushrooms. So I just, like Alice in Wonderland, I just fell into that world and loved it immensely, and also saw where my skill set could be of value as far as legalizing and really demanding the right treatment for our patients, but the right treatment for our indigenous community, and making sure that as standards development happens, that the standards aren't set at this Lamborghini level, and which excludes people who've been, again, using our psilocybin, our other medicines for thousands of years. So that's really my mission in the industry, is really preserving a space for indigenous community, Rastafari community, and small business community as we move things forward, while embracing the innovation that happens through our commercial and pharmaceutical partners. So thank you for having me today.
Thank you, Cheryl.
Okay. First off, thank you guys, Hannah, and thank you everyone in this room for letting me talk about something besides cannabis. It's very exciting. But I have been in this industry for 15 years. Since 2009, I started New Jersey's first edibles business. That was very long before legalization. I was making pot brownies, and they turned out well. And I made them for my friends, and they told their friends and their friends' friends. And I didn't want to become a pot brownie dealer, so what I did was I built the mousetrap, and I created the first brownie mix for herbal brownies that optimized THC usage. So that's how I got involved in the industry. And in 2014, I made a how-to video that went viral and got the attention of Spencer Gifts. And then my products were available in 2,000 stores in 3 countries. So I parlayed that into activism, where I went across the U.S. and Colorado, trained out in California and Colorado, did sales at events across this country. And finally in 2018, when New Jersey said we're gonna legalize weed in 100 days, which took 4 years, I came in and I helped advise on our legislation. So I created the micro license and a lot of the social equity pieces of the bill, which I'm very proud of. And I went on board at the New Jersey Cannabis Business Association. It's our state's first and largest cannabis trade organization, where I helped implement a lot of what was in the bill, and I still sit on the board there today. So that is my background in cannabis. And now, how does this go into mushrooms? Well, I've been making products for 15 years. And when we took it, it's not like I have a cannabis hat and a mushroom hat. They're all ingredients and they're all synergistic. And I want to make formulations. I want to make products that work for people. And, there's not a good ingredient or a bad one or illegal. It's just what works. It's what works for people, what helps people, and how they work with each other. And that's why my interest in mushrooms. They're just another tool in the toolkit to make things that are not just healing the sick, but also personal optimization. So something like lion's mane, which is just going to, maybe set your brain on fire in the morning, or something where maybe you need to do a little soul searching and do a bit of introspection and journeying, which is not necessarily curing a disease, but it is healing yourself and expanding. So I'm interested in all those aspects, and it's definitely taking everything I've learned in cannabis and now being able to take that experience and say, okay, what can we do now for mushrooms?
Thank you, Tara. Tell us about it.
Hello, everyone. I'm Jill Cohen. I'm the Cannabis Lady. I opened a CBD shop in February of 2021, and then opened up my dispensary next door just 6 months ago, called Elevated by the Cannabis Lady. I have been a resident in New Jersey since for 17 years, and I live in South Orange, and my shop is in Maplewood. And so the majority of my clientele are women over 40, affluent women that are focusing on plant-based holistic lifestyle. They're moms, they're soccer moms, they're career women, whatever. And then now a lot of them are going through menopause. And so when they would come in looking for CBD products for anxiety and this and that, then other things would come up, like, I have problems with ADD. I have problems with PTSD. I have brain fog issues, clarity and focus, or whatever. And I met this beautiful Black woman-owned brand. She's based out of Washington, D.C. The brand is Infused, NFZD, which is infused abbreviated. And she makes this beauty powder that I actually brought with me that has, it's a 30-day supply. You do 1 teaspoon of it in your favorite beverage in the morning, and it has lion's mane, red reishi, cordyceps, turkey tail, and chaga, and so it's all mushrooms, and then a little bit of cacao to just make it taste all good, and a little hint of cinnamon. So I like it in my coffee because it's like a Mexican coffee, and this is what started me on the mushroom route, because when I saw the benefits, how it made me feel with all of the things that I'm going through in my life, I couldn't believe how great this worked. 1 little teaspoon, every day. And it's so subtle too, because when I'd run out of it and I'd forget to fill my supply, I'd be like, why am I not normal? I'm not feeling right.
What happened?
So this is what entered me, and so then that's when I knew, okay, I gotta start adding a line of mushrooms to the shop. And something that I'm very, very proud about with my mission with this business was supporting women-owned brands. So I only sell women-owned brands. And so I was happy to know that there were women now dealing with mushrooms as well. I sell Tara's brand in my shop as well. And I just recently onboarded an Asian women-owned brand called Noon that I'll share with you guys a little later. That is amazing, and I take that tincture every morning. It's unbelievable because it has the lion's mane in it, and I feel like I have lots of energy.
Live for life.
So that's kind of my experience in cannabis, and then how it's kind of segued into mushrooms. And I now want to be an advocate. I want to support Gaetano and his team that he's brought together, and advocate for it, and hopefully get psilocybin in, and so I can sell it in the dispensary as well.
Thank you, Jill. Kim, tell us a little bit.
I know. Thank you. Thank you, Gaetano. I've known for years and years. And of course, everybody online and in the audience, and to the Newark Nature Conservancy, like such a beautiful place to be. And the women who I'm sharing a stage with could bring a tear to my eye. Don't worry, I won't cry. So I'm the co-founder of Tribe Tokes, which is a CBD and cannabis brand, and we have over 150 different SKUs. I hail from New York, specifically Staten Island, which I call the purgatory between New York and New Jersey. I do have roots here in New Jersey. I lived in Cherry Hill for a bit growing up, so I'm really glad to be here. I stumbled upon mushrooms in 2006. I owned a Pilates studio, so I'm a health and fitness instructor for 25 years, and I had my own Pilates studios and gyms in South Florida in the 2000s, showing my age. I have only joined one MLM my whole life, multi-level marketing, which gets like a 2 thumbs down on most platforms, but somebody walked into my Pilates studio saying that he had a mushroom extract that was going to cure cancer. And I just became really enamored with it, and it's called Shaga, and that was the name of the company. And I was experiencing at that time psoriasis and eczema and rosacea, like really odd skin things that just developed. And unbeknownst to me, I started taking the Shaga because I thought it was like the cool trending thing, antioxidant, which I didn't even know what that meant at the time. And my eczema, rosacea, and psoriasis went away and never came back. So I realized, like, holy shit, this stuff works. So I've been taking Shaga since 2006. And then after that, discovered reishi and turkey tail and a whole slew of other amazing functional mushrooms. My mom died when I was 15. And I was left to raise my 4 younger brothers and sisters, as well as take care of my dad, who, after my mom died, succumbed to grief and illness. And I developed a deep affection for psilocybin, and multiple times when I was really just feeling really down, depressed, and even thoughts of taking my own life, I was pushed by many people in my life to try psilocybin, which I did. And then in the late 2000 teens, like 15 and after, the word microdosing came out.
Yeah.
And I wasn't like a really big fan of being in a place where I was taking psilocybin and didn't have full control of my mind, my body, and my thoughts. And someone was like, microdose, like just take a little. And I was like, oh, just take a little. Oh my God, like just have one drink, you know? And so I realized that you could just take a little, and the benefits were even 5-fold of what they were by taking macro doses. And so together, synergistically, I started taking functional mushrooms, using psilocybin, and telling every single person I can know, like how this is changing my life. And there are times where I revert back to the original Lil' Kim, sad and alone, depressed AF, and not sure what my purpose in life is. And I think we all have moments and times where we're there. And that is where the microdosing comes in. And I have been able to find and become a liaison between the plant and the community and advocate and educate on what microdosing means and how it can help OCD. People like me that many years ago was diagnosed with manic depressive bipolar, and really having the opportunity to heal myself holistically through plant-based medicine and lifestyle.
Amen.
Aisha, tell us about you, please.
Hi, my name's Aisha. I own Noble Mushrooms with my husband, Jake. Really glad to be here. Really excited to be with a group of people who are so passionate about my favorite thing, which is fungus. I have an engineering background and worked for many years in New Jersey as an environmental engineer and consultant. Around 2015, we started looking for opportunities to join the agricultural movement, and we kind of had this feeling of, going back to the earth. We did a lot of gardening and ate our own food, and just felt like there was something there calling us. Played around a little with some different options, microgreens, chickens, and then stumbled upon mushrooms, and never ate them before. Hardly knew a thing about it, but as we started playing with it, it just took on a life of its own. It appealed to our sciencey-ness, I guess, doing the lab work. And basically since then, we launched our business in 2017. We're more on the food side, on the culinary side. We started doing farmers markets. We grow things like oyster mushrooms, my favorite. Also culinary as well as functional. What happened with us was just a really nice fungus story where we connected with other mushroom growers, small mushroom growers in New Jersey. And what came out of it was they asked us to start growing blocks. We call them blocks, is the starting kits for mushrooms to grow as a farm or for yourself. And through these connections with these other farmers, that kind of helped us grow our business. As they grew, we grew, and we kept producing these blocks. So we supply about 12 farms in New Jersey, from Sussex County to Cape May, with the building materials that grow indoor mushrooms. It's an all indoor process that we follow. So recently we're kind of branching out more into the more traditionally functional. So we're doing reishi, red reishi, black reishi. The reishi world is huge in terms of species. They're just beautiful, to be honest. Part of the attraction for me on the reishi is what a pretty mushroom it is. And then cordyceps this year, for the second time, we're making a go of it. Honestly, the first time we failed, and that's what mushrooms teach you how to do, is fail well and you keep going. So now we're working on, getting our cordyceps production going, looking at tinctures as a potential, another expansion for our business. And, in terms of, we've talked a little bit with Gaetano on some of his group called chats. My only sort of push on the psychedelics world in New Jersey, and I was really happy to hear you mention both psychedelics and agriculture in the same sentence, is can we please make plants and fungus about agriculture and farmers, and not go synthetic.
Thank you, Aisha. Thank you, panelists. How about this panel, guys? So, you're definitely going to hear a lot more from our wonderful panelists. We have broken up the questions basically in two sections. One where we cover general topics, and then the second session basically going to more specific. So let's start off with Kim. How does the use of mushrooms help you?
So I want everyone to take a big inhale and exhale out. At this moment, you may have breathed in up to 15 spores. There are 1.5 million different types of spores, and over 20,000 of them are fruiting flowers, which make mushrooms. So there are billions of mushrooms letting out zillions of spores. It's everywhere. And before there was evolution, before there was us, there was mushrooms. And I have a feeling that if there ever was an extinction, which I dare say, that mushrooms would be what takes over. And there's what is a mushroom? Like, what is a mushroom? It's not an animal, and it's not a plant. It's somewhere in between. And so, like I had said before, I started my journey with chaga, right? And then before that, psilocybin, was something that was really, I've always been interested in holistic, psychoactive type components, right? I love cannabis, I love psilocybin, but when I learned that actually it was a healer, I was like, okay, this is for me. Now, eating mushrooms isn't actually my thing. I'm not a lover of eating mushrooms. So right now I take tinctures, right? So I make my own elderberry tonic syrup at home, and I buy my tinctures. I have a few different places where I source them, and I can't wait to try some of yours. But I use Paul Stamets. I've taken, so he made the movie and the book Fantastic Fungi, which is a great read. I highly recommend it. It's also on Netflix, so you can watch the whole thing there. And I buy his extract. So I use reishi, I use chaga, I was taking turkey tail, but I stopped taking it, but I actually am gonna go back because I just found out that I have like a precancerous skin thing. So I was like, we're back on the turkey tail, baby. And so I use that for my health and wellness. I use it for, for energy, for anti-inflammatory properties, and then also to manage my different emotional issues that I have and mental illnesses that I deal with, PTSD, different traumas. Of course, when I was 16, they diagnosed me with PTSD, ADHD, and they were still calling it bipolar, like manic depressive. And at 17, my dad was like, there's no way that you're going to live these illnesses that they're telling you have. So you have to just flush that out. So psilocybin has been really helping me. On my good days, I take none. On the days where I am feeling less than myself, I take up to 0.5 milligrams. If I'm having a bad period of time, I will take 0.25 milligrams every other day, and that really, really helps me. But I use it in combination with the reishi, the chaga, and I do take lion's mane. It's in one of the supplements that I take, and I use this in conjunction and have found that this is a dynamic, holistic approach, and it's a lifestyle. It's not just like I'm taking my meds or I'm taking this. I've created a whole synergistic lifestyle, a symbiosis where one hand is really washing the other. And honestly, not every day is great for me, but I can tell you that using the different mushrooms and functional and medicinal has created a way for me to have a resource and an outlet for those times that I'm not feeling my best. And as a person that is in health and wellness, discovering plant-based remedies that can really help you heal and grow and flourish, and let's call it thrive, like how mushrooms thrive, I thrive. And that is the synergistic parallel approach that I have to mushrooms, and we're very similar. And as we evolve, mushrooms evolve. And as mushrooms evolve, we evolve with them. So I see this as something that is a togetherness.
Thank you, Kim. Cheryl?
Yeah, I'm glad. I was gonna say, can I support Kim in her statements, but I was next anyway, which is great. But in this industry that we love, and I'm talking cannabis and psychedelics and psilocybin overall, there's so much trauma, and the deeper I go, the more friends I make, the more I realize that we've really survived a lot. We have survived a lot as individuals, and we've survived a lot collectively. And as a result of the criminalization of cannabis, war on drugs, starting with Nixon and beyond, there are so many records that are painful that play over and over in our minds that we have to medicate, and we've been forced to self-medicate. Now we can be in these sharing environments where we share our stories, and now we can even find medical professionals who can assist us with, and shaman experiences as well, traditional medicine that can assist us along our journey. So I really respect and appreciate Kim for sharing her personal story and some of the challenges, but also her story of overcoming through identifying what's right for her. And what is similar between cannabis and psilocybin is the dosing issue, right? So, what Kim did as a responsible human who cares about her body is she tried things. And she also recognized that over time, her needs changed. Over time, her experience changed. And, even to today, some days are good, some days are not so good. But she knows how to adjust her medicine. And we have been brainwashed to think that there's only one way to medicate, and there are only certain doses that fit with certain, illnesses or, let's just say chronic conditions, et cetera. So I really respect the patient that wants to, try, and we always say start low, go slow, and they find that sweet spot for them at that point in their life. A traumatic event may require you to make a shift and make a pivot to try something else. So I just wanted to highlight that in her story. Being Jamaican, which I love, and you're gonna always talk about it. We never controlled psychedelics, psilocybin. So there's a flourishing industry in Jamaica. There's growing acceptance because we never controlled that type of medication, which makes it a prime place for research as well, taking place in Jamaica. But, for me, I always say that, mushrooms, cannabis, and bamboo can save the world. So I'm an agriculturalist, I'm an ag nerd all day, and I love bamboo because it's very versatile, just like cannabis. It's strong, you can build houses with it, you can eat it, it's nutrition, it's very versatile. Similarly with cannabis and mushrooms are the same with, we have leathers that come from mushrooms, so you can wear it. There are things that you can make for your homes and plastic comparables and things like that because of the strength of the plant. So, how, just to the original question of how's it impacting your life? Well, I just love the learning. I love the fact that I get to hear these healing stories and experience healing within myself. Like, I'm a big oyster mushroom fan. I go on Uber Eats in every city I travel to, and I search oyster mushrooms to see where I'm going to order from. And I found some beautiful restaurants across the country because that is like my favorite thing. And I think the world is just waking up to how good it tastes. Lion's mane I take in my supplements on a regular basis. There's the one I use is Style Speed. He's a rapper, but he's a brand called Pharmacy for Life, and they actually have a lion's mane that I really love very much. So shout out to Style Speed, Pharmacy with an F, pharmacyforlife.com. That's where I get my supply from. But as a person, I've had my thyroid taken out, so if I don't take my Synthroid medicine, brain fog. I've been anemic my entire life. If I don't take my iron, brain fog. So, with my busy lifestyle, I have never been great, taking pill after pill. But then there are some days when I'm like, oh my goodness, limits. I can't think, or I've hit a wall as far as what I can produce in my work as an advocate, and then I just reach for that lion's mane to kind of make sure that I can continue to do the work that I do. It's everything to me, is being able to have psilocybin mushrooms in my life, having that choice. So my work is about, one, as I mentioned earlier, preserving the space for Indigenous, minority, and small business, but also is just having the choice. So even if I'm not a huge psychedelics user, I believe in the choice. I believe that people need to have it as a part of their therapeutic options and their treatment options. So that's why I do this work. But for me personally, the functional mushrooms, when they combine functional mushrooms with cannabis, like, wow, it's just an amazing experience. So there's so much innovation left. It's an industry that will create a tremendous amount of economic growth to our communities. It'll create a lot of jobs for our communities. And again, it heals the traumatic experiences that we've experienced just for being on this earth with people who don't always have good intentions and people who have criminalized our way of being whole and healthy. So I give thanks for this opportunity.
Thank you. One more question in regards to cannabis and psilocybin and maybe fungi too. What can the psilocybin legalization movement learn from the cannabis legalization?
This is a great question. I think when I answer that question, I usually say it works both ways. So I'll start with the therapeutic community has been very obstinate and opposed to cannabis legalization. I've been on stage where I've had this woman in my face or waiting for me afterwards with an attack, because literally, like I've been in some, and then I get off stage and she was like, this is a drug, that kind of thing. They just haven't been able to get rid of that addiction brainwashing with regards to cannabis and knowing that cannabis is many things. People are addicted to sugar. They're more addicted to sugar, more addicted to the tobacco, more addicted to caffeine, but they just can't make that shift. So it's unfortunate because when you think of a patient's experience and someone who is having PTSD, they are most likely going to go to the therapy community first. But as far as the recommendation for cannabis, that comes from their general practitioner that doesn't understand the mental aspects of it. So from a functional standpoint, we really should empower our therapeutic community. They should be the recommenders as well, but we just can't get there because of all the brainwashing that's happened and the groupthink that has happened with regards to the addiction and cannabis story. But yes, there's plenty that can be learned from the psychedelics legalizer with regards to cannabis. I think the first thing is really you have to mobilize community. You have to be able to define who the users are, define a legacy. So recently in December, the Justice Foundation has expanded beyond cannabis legacy to also include psychedelics legacy as well, because there's a lot of people still going to jail for providing psychedelic medicine to their peers. So it's mobilizing community. It's almost like an art form, and it's one of the things I love most about my work, is like being able to go from jurisdiction to jurisdiction, identifying the jurisdictions that are ready for this type of legalization right now. The therapeutic community has embraced psychedelics in a way they never embraced cannabis, which is great. There's more research being done and accepted regardless of where it comes from for psychedelics, whereas for cannabis, they're like, that wasn't done in the US. Doesn't matter. Like, it really happened, So, I think we can learn from the therapeutic, the psychedelic mobilizers and legalizers, because for some reason they flip that switch with the psychedelic community in a way cannabis hasn't. But also, psychedelic community needs to, again, make sure it's cross-functional, that they're understanding people's intersectionalities, that we're not trying to standardize in a way that eliminates our indigenous community. So finding that coexist harmonization of community is something that psychedelics community needs to learn from cannabis, because we usually go to the capital all together, at least in the beginning on the cannabis side, and I find like in the psychedelics, it's a little more fractured, where you'll have our commercial pharmaceutical partners going in one direction, which actually kind of eliminates the other side, and then the other side doing the same thing and just saying this is indigenous, but not understanding that's part of the innovation is some people want pill form. Pill form is a delivery system. It's not like something that needs to be legalized as the only way. It's one delivery system. Edibles are another delivery system. You know, just taking a mushroom is another delivery system. Microdosing is another delivery system. You know, and we need to look at it that way, like we do in cannabis, where it's like inhalation, delivery system, edibles, delivery system. It's not like a whole industry in itself. And I think those are some of the best practices. Identifying the leaders early, and I think because cannabis has matured in such a way that we do have generational activists now, really, I think psychedelics needs to make sure that they're approaching it from a generational standpoint where we are passing on the baton, or I was on a webinar with Shanita Penny, who's one of my favorite advocates in cannabis as well, and she was saying it's not about passing on the torch, it's about, I'm not giving you my torch, but I will light your torch, right? We need to do more of that on the psychedelic side with our elders who have that knowledge, who have to light the torch for the younger ones. Let's not younger ones say, you know, kick them out and not allow them to feed their families, because that's what happens in advocacy, is like the advocates do the work and then commercial comes in, and we forget that these moms still need flexible schedules and jobs and businesses and things like that, because they were taking their kids with wheelchairs to the Capitol, you know, so making sure that it's multi-generational and that we are lighting each other's torch and ensuring that we have like a healthy, free-flowing, very inclusive industry.
Thank you, Cheryl.
You're welcome.
Let's turn to Aisha. What are some common misconceptions people have about mushrooms?
So it was interesting when we started selling at farmers markets. There's a really strong fear around even just colored mushrooms, and you know, people they know the buttons, and you know, they don't really know the other. You know, so I had many people ask me, "Oh, are these going to kill me?" That would not be a good business plan for me to be. Mushrooms, but they are delicious mushrooms, and you know, you know, maybe surprisingly, even like for my culture, where we're somewhat fungi phobic, but you know, we know from the Far East Asian cultures who have embraced fungus as you know, just a part of their diet, that they are living much healthier, their bodies are healthier, and food is medicine, and that's kind of, you know, the thing that I kind of try to keep expressing to people. You should be eating more mushrooms. It's unfortunate we're not eating them. They have good vitamins, they have good proteins, they have good vitamin D. They have things that plants can't give you and that we're missing in our diet, and may explain some of the ills that we see, the diseases that are going rampant in our communities. So that's my main.
Thank you. Excellent. Thunder, considering your advocacy for pediatric plant medicine, what is your perspective on the use of fungi-based modalities in pediatric care, and how do they compare with more conventional modalities?
I actually love that question because this is just my highway, okay? Because my daughter is autistic, nonverbal, and she has apraxia, I've had to reach far and deep to find something for me in my particular situation. A lot of times when you go and you look at the medical community, they really don't know what to do with children that are as severe as my child. And so I've actually had to reach in friends, family, and community. So as far as pediatric, whether it's mushrooms or whether it's cannabis, I've had to actually explore. So you're doing a lot of reading and you're doing a lot of testing on yourself as a parent. And I did not want her to have a complete high, so I decided to do microdosing, not only in cannabis, but also microdosing in mushrooms. And I started with myself. We started together trying different things, consuming in a gummy, consuming in a tincture, and actually consuming mushrooms themselves. I'm very, very lucky because I have a family member that knows how to toss a mushroom that is medicinal and make it taste just like a chicken wing. It's okay. And so she was able to enjoy her own medicine in a way that made sense to her. So you have a nonverbal child with an IQ below 30, and you have to actually reach into their world because they're not coming into yours. And I find a lot of parents are so frustrated and in tears because they can't help their child. But the problem is that we're not giving them the tools to help that form of disability. And when you get the diagnosis, it's like being hit in the throat, no matter what the diagnosis is. And society does not realize that you still have a child here that wants to still do things as a child. Go to movies, go to the parks, all of that. You have to go to school. You have to be able to find something that will allow for that particular individual to have a life, the best life that they can have in wellness. I noticed that you said that you did Pilates. There wasn't any yoga classes or anything for inclusiveness for children that have disabilities. So sometimes parents have to make it up for themselves. And that's done by research, that's done at your public library, and then that's actually done on yourself and your child. And a lot of parents are going the extra mile to say, hey, I know that I have this amount of time to live, and this child has this amount of time to live. So I'm going to rush against the clock to make sure that I can find wellness for children that have these issues. And Lion's Mane is one of the first places that I started. I spoke earlier about how mushrooms in my yard was an issue for me. I didn't want them there, right? Because I wanted this beautiful yard. And when I started getting into mushrooms, there was the sack of mushrooms and the lion's mane and everything was growing, and I asked to hold one. I said, can I hold it? And so she pulled it and she harvested it and she laid it in my hand. And when you see on social media that they're taking different vegetables and different mushrooms and different plants, and they're taking it and you can hear music, I had that type of feeling when I held this mushroom in my hand. And it gave me the opportunity to feel its energy. And I said, this is something I want to try. And I want to try for my daughter. And I want to try for other children. And so I came up with this program called Head, Shoulders, Knees, and Toes, because we are out here as adults and we don't know what they're feeling. And the child doesn't know what they're going to feel when they take this plant medicine. So it teaches them that they're going to start out feeling it in their head, and it's going to come down to their shoulders and toes, and it's something that they can recognize because they're seeing it in kindergarten, right? And so medicinal medicine for me, as far as pediatric medicine, it's all about relating it to something that they're used to, and then something that they need, and trying your best to cook it up and make them not spit it out. And then you're able to get on the road of recovery. My life will never, I'm so grateful that I had my first child at 19. I got a chance to experience the band, the cheerleading, the drill team. I got a chance to work the concession stand. I got a chance to do all of that. The universe gave me that first. And then the universe said, here comes Pistol, get ready. And so, and I'm not able to experience those things with her. But I'm able to experience something brand new, which is a connection to nature, which is a connection of understanding how her brain works and how other children like her, how their brain works. And then connecting to parents out there that are suicidal because they don't have answers in the medical community. So, I'm all on board for the little people and the little mushrooms that they need.
Thank you, Brenda. Tara, thoughts on personal use of mushrooms for certain conditions, chronic or acute?
Absolutely. So I will speak on myself. I have ADHD, and let me start with, I think I forgot to say the name of my company, which is Blazing Bakery. So I started making cannabis, mushroom gummies now, and I'm calling my company Blazing Trails, like trails. So when I started doing that, I first in my own journey started by trying mushroom coffee, which I think a lot of people use as their jump off point. And for me, that's kind of like taking a multivitamin. I think it was interesting to hear you say you didn't feel optimized. Absolutely. So there's 10 different ingredients in most mushroom gummies. If you go on Amazon and put just like 10 mushroom, you're gonna see the same brown gummy 100 times, and they're all white labeled, and it's all reishi, turkey tail, chaga, lion's mane, and it's just throwing at a dartboard, like, what are we targeting here? You know, are we curing cancer, psoriasis, ADHD, and everything all at once every day? Because that doesn't feel like targeted medicine to me. That feels like Centrum, and I can't tell if I've taken a vitamin or not during the day. It's, you know, it's not targeted medicine. So starting with something with that broad a net for me is already a no. But then also, as someone with ADHD, your brain's not working the second you wake up. You know, your medication's on your nightstand, and when that kicks in, your brain kicks in. But what they want me to do is go to the kitchen and get my frother and make a layered beverage to replace my ADHD medication with. And that's not gonna work for me. So it has to be in that same nightstand reach. And so I created a very targeted gummy, which has lion's mane, which is what most people, if you were to pick a mushroom for ADHD, that's what all the research and everything is going towards. Now, for me, they always say, oh, replace your morning cup of coffee. Well, sure, you could. I'd rather integrate it. So put the lion's mane and the caffeine together, synergistic. What could be the side effect with any stimulant? Oh, you get a little shaky, nervousness. L-theanine that comes in there, cuts it off, kind of balances it out. So you get a whole plant type of synergistic effect, which is a calm focus, which allows your brain to work immediately. As soon as you get out of bed, once it kicks in, the same as a pill. Now we're talking, now that's a mushroom solution, that is a medicine, that's something I can integrate into my life. So I've made a lot of products in 15 years, many, many products. I have a Rubbermaid, I'm not kidding, full Rubbermaid of cannabis products, all different ones in my house at pretty much all times. I was telling this story recently. I moved into a new house and we didn't have anything to tip the delivery guys. And I said, I was like, do you guys like weed? Okay. And I just gave them cannabis products. I was like, okay. But never have I depleted that. That's just like an endless supply. You can't get rid of it. I guess a good problem to have. But that product right there, that red gummy, I was eating them. I was on Gary from Real Cannabis Entrepreneur. I saw walk in. I was on a Zoom with him, and I was doing something, and I started talking about this product, and I realized it was on my desk, and I shook it, and I was like, I'm popping these things all day. They help me focus. They keep me dialed in. It's like you're in the zone. And I realized I was eating so many of them. They're not on my desk anymore because I have never so fully understood getting high on your own supply. With all the products I have had around for 15 years, I went and I had 40 empty containers of red gummy things. And I went to my husband, I was like, oh my God, I'm eating my inventory. She deals with my inventory issues. It's a thing. So I said to him, I was like, look, I will not break a promise to you. Make me promise I won't eat these anymore. He said, promise me you won't eat them? So, and I did. I haven't eaten them since, and my supply chain's been better. But it was really the first time. Well, no, but it was a red flag that, like, oh, things need to be tweaked a little. Maybe don't do the ones that are sealed and ready to go with the label and the container you paid for. Maybe you could just make your own. But yeah, it was a red flag that, and that's why I knew I had made something that actually was working for the intended audience, because inadvertently I had used it so much I was becoming a detriment to myself. But it really was something that made me then evaluate with stimulant medications, what I'm taking, what can be used as a complement, and it's really been life-changing, and that's what I want to do with all of my products now, is to find each of these 10 mushrooms, say, Kim had an amazing experience with her psoriasis, or anyone who's had a target. And then it's not just that, okay, so then what's maybe a humectant or something we could put with it? What else increases moisture absorption? And making these synergistic things. So that's my personal experience, and I know I nailed it on that one. And now it's the come nail it.
Thank you, Sarah, and as Tara mentioned, Gary George from Real Cannabis Entrepreneurs in the House.
Mushrooms and Fungi, baby. Let's go.
He's my manager too.
That's right.
Let's turn to Kim. Kim, I know you spoke about a little bit earlier. Considering all the talk lately about microdosing, two-part question. How do mushroom regimens look as a microdoser? Maybe give a little more information on that. And can microdosing be used alongside cannabis?
Yeah, so those are great questions, and I don't remember who said it, but it's a really personal journey. And it's like any other substance that you take, everyone is so unique, you really have to just fuck around and find out. That's just really what it is. So a great place to start with microdosing is taking a small amount, and I would say that looks like about 0.2 grams, and take from a trusted source, right? Because there's a lot of trash out there. There's a lot of trash food, there's a lot of trash alcohol, there's a lot of trash everything, and including mushrooms of all capacity. And when we're talking about psilocybin, which is not readily available just, even in a dispensary, you've got to trust your source. And that is the number one thing I have to say, is really knowing who you are purchasing from or getting gifted from, because it does not all work and feel the same. So a trusted source is the root of healing. And the healers that are out there will, have their own way of description. But going back to what a good beginning scenario is, maybe 0.2 to 0.25. Your first day is the blossoming day, where your body is taking the substance, digesting the substance, and putting it in all the places it needs to be, right? Your body is freaking magic. It knows where to put shit. I'm like, how do you know that? Girl, you're smart. You're like, this is the magic. But, and then the second day is your glow day, right? You just be waking up feeling fine. On my second day, I sometimes wake up and start cleaning without coffee, without tea, without anything. I'm just like drinking my lemon water, living my best life, scrubbing it down, cleaning up my plants in my house, because you're glowing and you're excited for life and the day and the surroundings, and you really are receptive and responsive to what the surroundings are. Your third day is your clean day, all right? It's when you flush everything out. Because no matter what anyone says, you become dependent on things. And it might not be a physical dependency. It becomes a mental dependency. So you really want to have the opportunity to flush everything out of your system and have a clean day. And then the next day, so you've done your 3 days, you're back to day 1. And this is a wonderful cycle that you can, use to just have those discoveries. Because when you're discovering what it does for you, then you can start knowing yourself and knowing your body and understanding what the substance does for you. So now, I had an emotional month last month. It just was emotional for me. I went through early menopause. I'm 45. I'm post-menopause now. My hormones sometimes bring me into this place where I'm just not excited for anything. Like, you could be like, hey, I'm giving you $1 million, like, stick it over the corner, whatever. So I'm on an every other day regimen where I take between, or like around 0.2 every other day. And I'll do that up to like 20 days of doing that. And then I'm usually by that time, all the shit is settled. I'm like, oh my God, I got $1 million in the corner. Like, life is so great. I'll give it all to charity. Like, you know, you just like are in a better place. And I will just take nothing, right? I'm back to my, you know, my chaga, my reishi, my lion's mane, and any other adaptogens that I feel will benefit like wherever I am in that place. So it'll be a month and I will have no substance, right? And then one day I'll wake up and I'll be like, oh, I am not happy. And I'm back to, okay, where am I in my place? And I will find it. I don't like to have sugar, right? I'm sugar-free. I don't eat sugar. I don't eat refined carbs. I eat like, you know, I grow some of my own food at my house, and then I eat, you know, a lot of fruits and vegetables. So I'll, you know, have a different need in my infrastructure, and things will just change. You will just decide, like, you know, that there are other things that you can take besides, let's just call it magic mushrooms, to make you feel good. Now, I like capsules because there's no sugar in them. I like tinctures because there's no sugar in them. I want the essence of the plant, but I don't always want to have a gummy, right? And there's some like really amazing products out there, but I haven't found any psilocybin gummies that don't have sugar in them at the moment, so I just don't really take too many of the gummies. Once in a while, I like chocolate, so I'm like, who's got the good chocolates? And I have a friend of mine who's a chocolatier. I provide the inputs, and they make me amazing chocolates that don't have sugar, made with dark chocolate. And so, you know, depending on where I am in space and time and mental capacity, emotional capacity, and the company, right? The energy that's around you is what I'll take. You know, like I've got a couple of pieces of dark chocolate at home that sometimes on the weekends, I just want to have a good time. I'm here to put my hair back. I'm like, girl, gonna have a little party on her own, and I'll be, you know, putting the music on and doing a higher dose, right? So I went from a micro dose to a macro dose, a healthy dose, like more than what I take on a regular day when I ain't got shit to do and nowhere to go and not operating any heavy machinery. So there's, you know, a place and time to figure out where you need to be. And the one thing that I really love about mushrooms is when I am taking a macro dose, I can see the music. I can feel the music. It's not just auditory. It enlivens the senses and allows you to bring all of the things that you thought were important to a head, and then vamoosh, it's all gone. And the next day you wake up and it is beyond a glory day. But again, trusted. You've got to find the trusted source, or the microdose or the macrodose, or none of that dosing is going to make a difference if you get a dud or you get something that doesn't make you feel good. And just like cannabis, there are so many different strains of psilocybin, and there are some really medicinal parts of each strain. One of the ones that are really popular is a penis envy. Guess what? That doesn't work for me. I don't like penis envy, so in some ways. But I am a hillbilly fan, right? That is the strain that I take right now. Currently, this morning I woke up, I took a 0.25 capsule of Maz, M-A-Z. That's what's working for me right now. You can follow me on Instagram. It's HIGH It's Kimby, KYMB. I post a lot of the different medicinal mushrooms that I use, functional, medicinal, and I don't really eat them, but a lot of times I'm in environments where other people are, and they're really beautiful. Like you said, reishi, oyster mushrooms actually can detoxify pollutants. Mushrooms, anything that's natural and hydrocarbon based, they will thrive. That is their food. So if there's an oil spill, and you throw, some oyster mushroom spores all around, that it will clean it and detoxify it. And so they're macrodose, microdose, environmental dose. They're all things, and the discovery process is the most important and crucial time.
Thank you. Jill, thoughts on best mushrooms used for specific conditions, acute or chronic?
Well, I have to back up for a second. I suffer with extreme anxiety, and so I take CBD every day to start my day just to function normally. But what I found that would happen sometimes is it would kind of freeze my brain a little bit, and I would can't lose my train of thought, couldn't come up with certain words or whatever. And then my menopause kicked in, and I got even more brain fog and less clarity and stuff like that. And that's when Rajita with Infused, came to me and said, you should consider mushrooms, and this is why, because you can lower your anxiety, but this is going to keep your brain, sharp and focused and clarity. And I was like, really? I'm like, the best of both worlds in one product. I can't wait. And so so I've been focusing on that, and I now am taking I Love tinctures as well. I try to avoid sugar as much as I can as well. Also because I have some stomach issues, and sugar can irritate that a little bit. And I also want fast acting, so I love tinctures. And so I have this Asian woman brand. It's from California. It's called New, and their packaging is unbelievable. It's very luxury. It almost looks like a book.
Is this something?
Yes. So because it's a tincture, and I'll pass this around because I would love for you guys to see it, because there's one for night and there's one for day. So I think too, and then this has no CBD in it whatsoever. This is all mushrooms, adaptogenic ingredients, and so. So with the morning one, it's lion's mane mushroom. It's always hard to pronounce. Thank you. So this one's improving my learning, my memory, my concentration. It elevates my mood. It helps with brain cognitive function. And then with lion's mane, and then ginkgo biloba. Thank you. Reduces the anxiety and improves well-being. And just like Kim was talking, I feel great. Like I'm just ready to conquer the world. And I wake up in the morning, barely can get out of bed. That's how bad my anxiety is. And my anxiety gives me a stomachache too, because I stress everything down in my stomach. And I'm just getting myself to the bathroom. And as soon as I take this, it's like I'm dancing around, doing my hair, and saying, it's like I'm sleeping while I work. It's just so it's really unbelievable how great the mushrooms are. So hopefully I answered your question.
Yeah. Okay, let's dive into some specifics on retail, entrepreneurship, and business models.
Can I make one comment?
Yeah,
That's
sure.
all right. Yeah. So one theme that we've heard is you deserve to feel great, and that's what we're all driving towards. That's what we're running towards is how do we feel great? And that's different for every person, and there's going to take some experimentation to get there. That's what we deserve. That's like, we think the baseline is feeling, the baseline is feeling great, and however we can get to that equilibrium, that balance, we need to pursue these plant-based medicines for that. And then one thing that came to me when Kim was speaking is, she said, I have this lady that I trust, friend of mine. I provide the inputs. I have preferences with regards to sugar and amount of sugar. She makes me beautiful chocolate products, and then I take them. Any type of legalization that makes the function that that woman serves illegal needs work. And that's my work, is making sure that as a community, we can recognize that, yes, we want to legalize by any means necessary, but if legalization means that this woman who will take the inputs from a patient and or consumer, if you don't want to use patient language without a physician's involvement, and she is trusted in community and creates these beautiful products that help her to get to feeling great, that should not be something that she can go to jail for. Okay? And I just want to call that out.
There should be a lane carved out.
100%. In every bit of legalization, there should be a carve-out lane for that.
So Cheryl, what are the top legal elements for business entrepreneurs to keep in mind and to get involved in the operation of functional mushroom retail and operations?
Yeah, I think you know, consumer safety should be always top of mind.
Right.
And I'm an ASTM D37. I sit on the executive committee for the cannabis committee, which is D37. And you know, that's how we develop our standards. But when I interface with legislators and regulators, that's top of mind for them too, because no one wants to be the judge that gets overturned by another judge. Nobody wants to be the legislator or the regulator that puts in place policy that causes someone's death or someone to be harmed. So even though we're in a more progressive society, because everybody's getting older, some of the conservatives, they're passing away, unfortunately, and then we have younger people who are the policymakers of today. We still have in the back of the mind that we don't want to be the one to put in place policy and fight for policy that harms somebody. So top of mind, consumer safety, inclusivity. That's the other component of it. That's the balance, making sure that there is an opportunity for everyone to access the medicine or the treatment, but also making sure there's equal opportunity for everyone to access the business opportunity as well. Not creating a plantation-based economy where there's certain people who are always on the consumer side, and then there's another part of society that is always on the producer side. So that's really important when you're crafting legislation. Having some type of educational component so that even though, you know, we are a community of people who were aware of this for years, decades even, there's a lot of people who, again, because of prohibition and you know, reefer madness like narratives, they don't even know what it is, and they're going to see it on a table and they'll be like, no, that's going to harm me. You know, so we have to have some funding available for education, and then finally, you know, no, I wouldn't say finally. Next, we have the social justice component, where we look at those who have been harmed due to ignorance and incarcerated. How can we reunite those families? Because prohibition separates families in a way that immigration situations haven't even touched. Okay, so how do we reunify families where their loved ones are incarcerated in this country, but also reunifying people who their loved ones have been deported and they're not even no longer in this country, and getting them home so they can be reunified with their loved ones. And finally, it's really looking at, now that we've created these occupations and business ownership opportunities, really looking at how do we strengthen the legal market. And it doesn't mean enforce against the illicit market, because sometimes it takes time to trust government when government has been your main violator your entire life, and your parents' life, and your grandparents' life. So it takes time to build that trust to say, I want to be a part of it. But how do we strengthen legal environments by providing funds to these new entrepreneurs, whether cannabis entrepreneurs, psychedelic entrepreneurs, so that when a consumer is making a choice, they're going to be like, that looks nicer, that looks safer. So we need to give them funding so they can create that environment for our consumers.
Thank you.
And if I could just add to what you just said, the other thing that is completely missing for our industry, both industries, is freedom of speech. And to have that as an just clear light for everything else except for plant medicine and for psilocybin and for cannabis is really, really sad that you can go on social media and see anything in the world, but you are very censored, and we're trying to be able to educate people, and we cannot even say the words that are needed, the proper vocabulary on social media, just to educate people.
Language is important.
It's so important.
Thank you for that, Linda. And we have an online question, so Rashad, you can read that question if they want to be named or anonymous, please.
Yes, yes. So we have an online question. So it's a dosing question. And so the question is, so I have a solid idea of the way psilocybin affects me when I weigh it out and consume it. But if I infuse it into a tincture or food, is there a way to do the math to figure out the dose?
Who wants to take it?
I mean, I'll speak to dosing in general. Dosing is very difficult because people are different. Their weight's different, their body type's different, their chronic condition or their traumas are different. So dosing is a challenge, and we're always trying to figure out how to engage scientific community in a non-predatory way, engage pharmaceutical community in a non-predatory way, so that we can reach that sweet spot on dosing. But if a baby has colic, how do you dose for that? When you're giving a kid castor oil, fish oil, like old school treatments I'm talking about. When you're giving those old school remedies, how are you dosing that? Well, we trust these moms that have learned from their mom, who learned from their mom, who learned from their mom how to treat colic, right? So it's very similar. A lot of times we're like, we go into tunnel vision when we say, this is so different. No, they just told us that it was so different. It's not. It's plant medicine. We've used plant medicine for many years, but I love the research aspect. I love the science, and I love that in the journey of isolating compounds, and this is controversial, but isolating compounds, we can create a consistent experience for people if it's desired and if it's beneficial to them. We have the ability to do it. Just because we have the ability to do something doesn't mean that's the only way we should be doing it. So I'm an advocate, especially for research, of being able to dose by isolating compounds so that we can track the consistency and the methodologies and things like that and document and memorialize, etc. But I think that is just one way of approaching science. I think traditional medicine is also very scientific, especially when you have communities that are as engaged with the sun and the moon as they are with plants. And a lot of that is experiential, but it does not mean it's not research. So dosing is a challenge for cannabis industry. When I went to Jamaica, with CBD products, which wasn't popular in like 2017, 2018, and registering products there, when I met with the pharmaceutical communities, because the way it is legalized in Jamaica, the CBD, it was through the Ministry of Health, and then the classification allowed them to be sold in pharmacies. So now to create a market for consumers, I had to speak to pharmacists and doctors, and that was their question. I spoke at the Caribbean American Neuroscience Conference, and the same question: how do we dose this? How do we dose it? Because there's just such a rigidity in formal education that it can't be different for different people. And it's the truth. We can lie to you and say, this is the dose for this particular indication, because that's what research says, but it's a lie. It's like rocking yourself to sleep. We don't need to do that. We operate in truth, and we operate in the light. And the dosing question is just simply answered by, for research purposes, there's value in specific dosing and consistency. But from a human perspective, it is different for different people, and we recommend that you start low and go slow.
Thank you. And I'll just something real quick with that too as well. If you're going to do add anything to your regimen, check with your healthcare provider, because there are things that is drug interactions, and you want to make sure you're avoiding those as well. But
And record adverse events as well.
yes, exactly, and report adverse events as well. Did you want to add something?
Yeah, I was gonna hop in with a real honest answer. Not that that wasn't honest, I'm saying more candid than you should be. Which is, if you're making something at home, when you're making something commercially, there's a gold standard of testing 3 times for an edible. You're gonna test that plant, you're gonna know what the content of the plant is, and you're gonna say, okay, it has, say in cannabis, this much THC. Then you're going to extract it, you're gonna test that oil, and you're gonna say, okay, this oil has that much THC. Then you're gonna make the edible, and then you're gonna test that edible and say, it has this much THC. And you've tested 3 times to be able to dose accurately. And it's not like that's gonna be 10 milligrams, 10.0. It's still gonna have a allowable variability. So even in the most precise lab equipment, scientifically tested, your dosing is variable. When you are home in your kitchen, whatever you are making, it's not what you think it is, especially if you don't have that first sheet of paper. If you just go buy some weed, buy some mushrooms, and then you do anything to it beyond that, you're losing more and more of a gauge as you go. Now, you can do one of 2 things. You can send it to a lab. You actually can send mushrooms to a lab. You can send cannabis to a lab. They will test it for you, assuming you say it is hemp-derived. If you don't want to do that, here's the real answer. You're your gauge. So make it and then test a little bit. And before you share it with anyone else, guess what? You're your guinea pig. If it turned out too strong, you should know that first. And I don't know anyone else.
No, I was just gonna say, and 1 dose of peanut butter makes my son violently ill.
Anyone else want to?
There's like what Tara said, there are labs out there that test for, you can test for CBD. You can send your psilocybin product there and say, this is hemp-derived, and they're gonna come back and give you the numbers. And it's not necessarily legal to do that, but the labs, as long as they're getting paid, they're not turning around and being like, well, you sent us psilocybin, so we're gonna send, the feds after you. It's really about finding a way around it. If you're doing this for at-home use, you can Google it, and there's the math, and there's formulas. If you're doing this for a business, which I believe that it is, it was an entrepreneurial question, lead with extreme caution. This is not something that you should be doing in light of it is not legal. I'm not saying don't do it, but there is a fine line between giving yourself remedies at home and then turning around and providing them to the community or your family. That's a whole other thing. And if there's something off with something that you give someone and someone gets sick or something happens, incident, you can go to jail. And then you'll need to call sheriff.
And then I'll refer you to a criminal attorney.
And I just want to add just one word. I want you to go ahead and go online and look up titration. We are going to be in Baltimore, and we're going to be talking more about titration and what that means to the human body as they consume different products, as far as whether it's medicinal mushrooms, psilocybin, cannabis, no matter what. You need to be able to understand what your stoplight is. So you have your red, your yellow, and your green. And so check out the word and find out what's best for you, because it's an individual thing, especially with me dealing with pediatric medicine. I'm dealing with someone, my youngest patient is 3, and pediatric, I think my oldest is like 18, but I've seen them grow in this process. And seeing them grow, we've had to almost act out like a compound pharmacist. Mm-hmm. And that's what's so sad about this. There's children, toothpaste, there's children, aspirin, there's children, so everything out there for children. But when it comes to children that have these disabilities or these diagnoses, they don't have the opportunity to go into a place like this and say, I know this is gonna work for me. I even have my medical card, but there's not that counter over there that's for them. And so we're gonna have to do better as a society, because other places, they do that. They actually do not put that on the parent. They actually put it on the individual with the knowledge. So look up the word titration and then start there with everything else that the lady said on this panel, and you'll be able to find exactly how you need to diagnose yourself and how you need to dose yourself.
Thank you. So Kim, list your top 3 elements that you think entrepreneurs should keep in mind when looking to get involved in the operation of functional mushrooms, retail and operation. We heard about safety, we heard about dosing and titration. Do you want to add to that?
When you become an entrepreneur with a substance that still is not legal, it's important for you to have someone legal on your side. Marketing and purveying a product is something that you need to take very seriously. And so for functional mushrooms, I think it's great, to be able to start there. And, there's not any FDA regulation on this, but that doesn't mean that you shouldn't be using quality ingredients and making sure that you're meeting the merit of what safety is for, not just like consumption, but like shelf stability and things like that. I have a brand, Tribe Tokes, and we are doing over $2 million a year in revenue, and we have some food products, and we just have guidelines. We have made standards, and we took the standards that are out there on the market, and we said we're going to raise the bar and set our own standards. So we really apply these guidelines in every product that we're producing. And so whether you're producing something that is legal or not, we're in the gray area, you have to set your standards and then also operate as if it was like any other business, making sure that the numbers make sense, because Tara was eating all her profit. Like, you've got to really know that owning a business in this industry is a little bit harder than anything else. And that's because there's a lot of competition. There's a lot of, legalities, and there is a lot of things that can get you in trouble. Also, you can't just go do what all the other companies are doing, the Instagram and Google ads. They're great, but when you're using substance, CBD, cannabis, psilocybin, you have to understand that that is not something that you're going to be able to just publicly purvey in a safe way. And also know that social media and Google is going to shut your ass down. So, yeah.
Thunder, as an entrepreneur, what strategies would you recommend for businesses entering the fungi market, especially in the areas overlapping with cannabis and holistic products?
I think it's important to start off with education and then understanding that every state has different rules. Understanding what that means to your consumer in your area, and then educate them to be able to make the right decisions for their wellness. And that means everything in their life. Okay, so for me, with mushrooms, I am an advocate for people with disabilities, and I'm an advocate for children, but I'm also an educator for people that are scared or that may not have ever experienced this conversation. And so I want to be able to help them understand from the very beginnings of the building blocks in this industry. And once you do that, you're going to have people that come into your business and continue to come to your business because they find you as a source. So not only do we put on symposiums and different types of events, right now we have the Smoke Currency Tour the Smoke Currency Tour. We also have the Seed, which is a men's symposium, because they told men not to talk anymore, but you guys need to talk about your health and your wellness. And then we have and then we do a program also for women. I think it's that important because it does not matter if I'm carrying the water for me as a woman, but I'm also carrying the water for me as a mother. I'm carrying the water for me as a business partner. I'm carrying the water for me, for all the people that I come in contact with, because you never know what their day is going to start out like. And then we have to have a voice. We all have to be a voice. And then once you create that type of community, my goal for my dispensary and for anyone else that's in this industry, we should be just like the hair salons, the beauty shops around the state, the barber shops, all of those places the local bar, where you can go and talk to your bartender, you can talk to your barber, your hairdresser about your emotional state, but you can also come into the dispensary or into this industry and have a conversation about what's going on with you. Not just the negative part, but also the positive part, so we can create balance. The one thing that I do like about mushrooms is exactly like what Kim said, is that all of the holes that are inside of you, as far as all of the trauma, it puts a protective layer coat, and all of those things still happen to you, but you're able to live with those things at a higher level and be able to not be the first person to experience that trauma, so you can walk people through that trauma over to the other side, because now you're protected through taking those types of wellness medicines.
Thank you. And Heather, a follow-up question. In your experience as an entrepreneur, what are the key factors in successfully launching a business in the field of plant-based medicine?
Well, you know, a lot of medicine, this is what I love. Okay, first of all, let me say this. This is American made. This is Main Street right here. And even though you have it in other countries, we are making this here, we're selling it here, and we have the opportunity to create. And that means a person can start out in their kitchen and then become a business owner that can have the life of their dreams, okay? So you can be as creative as you want to be, with as little money as you have. You know, you may not have a lot of money to start out. And so then you have people that will come and help you, because this industry, we're making history right now. It's on fire. We're making history right now. You can be the first. You can be the first to create a brownie mix. You know, that's legacy right there. You can be the first of this, but you cannot be afraid. That's the one thing I can tell you. You cannot have fear if you want to be successful. And then you must hold the door open. I speak on a national level. I'm a keynote speaker. I do a lot of different things. And I make phone calls to individuals in this room to say, girl, God, help me with this. What's this topic? Blah, blah, blah. Don't be afraid to say, I don't know, but don't be afraid to say, I know this shit right here. And so when we create that type of bond between each other, and we keep opening the door for people and holding the door for people, then we're going to be able to have a retail business in our communities that are successful, because we gave them one, education, we gave them a voice, and we gave them a place to feel safe with something that seems mysterious. Cannabis seems sexy. Psilocybin, mushrooms.
Thanks for pointing my way.
Cannabis is sexy, but mushrooms, it seems mysterious. And it's been in everything since we were children. Holly Hobby, is it? Anybody remember her?
Yes.
Okay. She mushrooms. Alice in Wonderland?
Yeah.
Okay. Strawberry shortcake. Alice in Orange Blossom? Yes. Okay. It's been everywhere. And so at this point in time, it's time for us to start speaking up, because we're living history. We're creating our own history. We're creating our own voice. And all the things that we need, if we don't say that we need them, you won't get them. And there is a famous saying that if you are a victim and you don't speak up for yourself, they're going to say that you love them. And I want to make sure that no one ever says that about me or a child or someone that needs to be out there speaking for themselves, especially veterans. That's the last thing I'm going to point out. When we send those people over to defend ourselves, our land, all of that, even if they were not in war, they are reprogrammed and they never come back the same. And so when you see those things, you have to say to yourself, what can I do to be a part of the solution? And that's what retail is. It's not necessarily about me selling a product for $100 on my shelf. That's great, I'm glad I'm making money. But when I see them come back in again and again and again, I change the person's life. And that's why I do it. Because I can be sitting at home on the couch doing something else, but no, this plant, the mushrooms, they need us. You have something to offer. And I just love it. So I'm glad everybody's here.
Thank you, Dr. Jill, you showed us a few products. How do you select those products? You're mainly a CBD shop, right? So how do you select those products, and what are some of the feedback you're getting from your clients about those products?
Well, as I mentioned earlier, I only allow women-owned brands in my shop, so you have to be woman-owned first. And diverse women, so I want to make sure that I'm checking all the boxes and including everybody. And everything is tried and true by me and my trusted circle of friends. So nothing goes on the shelf until we've tried it and we confirm that it definitely looks great, tastes great. You know, the method is easy and so on and so forth. I have two stories of customers that have had the best experience. First, this woman over 60, 65, who's an art dealer, who has extreme anxiety, who can't function, going through a lot of different medical issues or whatever. And I turned her on to the infused mushroom powders. She can't live without it now. I mean, it's her morning routine. She absolutely loves it, whatever. And she was like, "You're not gonna believe this, but I lost 10 pounds. And I was like, well, I do believe it. I go, and she goes, "Well, what do you think it is? What ingredient in here is making me lose my weight?" And I said, "Honey, you're not stressing anymore because your brain's working better. You're functioning better." And I go, "So think about it." She goes, "Oh my God, you're right. I used to eat this one snack every day. And and I haven't even thought about it." She's like, "I can't believe it." So she's just tickled because not only is she feeling so much better, she's now lost 10 pounds and looks great. And then I have this other couple that came in, each separately, tears, crying, sitting on my couch. "I'm going to get divorced. My marriage is horrible. My husband, we've exhausted all the resources. We went to therapy. We've done this. We've done that. And we have 2 kids. And they're just, we don't know what else to do." And I was like, "Well, why not? Let's try some of these mushrooms." So I showed them the chocolates and the tinctures and the powders, and each of them separately. Okay, because they both didn't know the other one had come in, and so they start taking the products or whatever, and they're feeling better, and they're feeling like, "Oh, I think instead of talking about divorce, let's not give up. Let's try something else." So they were loving everything that I was offering with the functional mushrooms. They said, "Listen, we want to go another step above and do a psilocybin guided meditation." So they had to find somebody operating legally, unfortunately. They went to Georgia, believe it or not. I didn't think that would be the state doing it, but and they went through this whole weekend of therapy with it, and then a month later they come skipping in, holding hands, and they're like, "We're in love again!" And they're like, "We can't believe this." Yes, we had to go the distance because sometimes with the mushrooms, and I'm scared of going to the hallucination process of it because I had a bachelor's in college. But I know that I need to go there because of PTSD and all these things, because sometimes you just got to go to the distance and get there for it to really reset your brain properly. And that's what they needed. They needed to get to the top and go to that higher level, that scary level that we all think about when we think of psychedelics. And that's what brought them back around to like newlyweds again. So that's the kind of feedback I get from selling it in my shop. Not psilocybin yet, but I will.
Tara, what functional mushrooms are you currently working with? I know you mentioned one.
Yes.
What benefits do you have, and then any feedback from your clients as well?
Sure. So one I'm working with right now that is really exciting is Amanita muscaria. And this is something that I am so afraid. Right now it's legal in every state except Louisiana. I don't know what's going on down there. But so it is fantastic in its own right. It's been used for thousands of years. Again, homage to people who've used it for shamanism, things like that. But what people are doing now, which is something that happens frequently in this industry, is agendas get in the way of actual truth about products and their uses. So Delta 8, you've seen this work, and that word now makes people think, "Oh my God, it's fentanyl." No, it's Delta 8. It's one of 140 some cannabinoids in the plant. But what they've done is make you think it's horrible because it competes with people who spend a lot of money on licenses and have very expensive lobbyists And I am someone who spends a lot of money on a license, and I hope to open soon. But I'm gonna tell you the truth, it's not the devil, it's not terrible. It's a smear job with an agenda attached to a substance that is arguably good, better for certain things than Delta 9. Anyway, that said, Amanita now, people are calling it the Delta 8 of mushrooms. They're saying it's, gas station psilocybin. It's not. It's a beautiful mushroom in its own sense that has a specific purpose. And it is not meant to make you trip and see colors and do all of that. It is meant to be slightly disassociative and introspective. And if you take one, it can be used for a microdosing protocol if you don't have a trusted source. And if you don't have a trusted source, I'm gonna call out one brand because I'm not harming anyone. It's not Polka Dot. That's not your trusted source. If anyone ever offers you a Polka Dot bar, thank you. What?
Oh, so we had an online question about that.
Oh, okay, yeah. So if you want a polka dot bar, you can go on Amazon and you can buy 10 packs of them empty and go make it and then sell it to other people and put anything you want in that. And you can build your own fake website and jump on Telegram and you can start your own shady polka dot business in about an hour and poison people with whatever research chemical you want. So that is not your trusted source. So if you don't have a legitimate one, you can also do a microdosing protocol with Amanita. And one, you will never know you took it. It's just a background wellness supplement, and it's something you can still take daily that works for depression. Now, if you want to use it for recreational purposes, you can take 2. It's like a glass of wine, and then scale up from there till I sell them in packs of 5. It would be a couple hours of a light. Colors are more fun. I'm a little bit giggly, and I'm gonna have the best night's sleep of my life and feel like I'm great tomorrow. So that's really what Amanita is, but people are gonna try to obscure it to say, well, oh no, I didn't trip, it's this, or oh no, it's, do your research, find things what they are. I think it's a great substance that we're just beginning to see what it can be used for, and I'm so excited as people are adopting more and more research where it could go. But that's what I would say. That's what I'm working with now. That's what I'm most excited about. And
Thank you, Terry. And Rashad, we have an online question?
Yeah, we do, going based about trusted sources. So it says, based on how it looks, are there any telltale signs that send up a red flag about a mushroom that you may have gotten from a trusted source?
For me, I'm going to start that. I know other people may answer that question. We offer the scores at our dispensary, and then we offer medicinal medicine mushrooms. When I'm looking, and I have a lot of vendors that come in and want to bring their products into our facility, it goes through a process of testing it. It goes through a process of us looking at the analysis of the product. If there's no analysis of the product, then it's not a real product, in my opinion, for someone to take it, and they're brand new at doing what they're doing. I would always say that a trusted source would come from a trusted vendor. And so we go through the process of literally getting the certificate of analysis if they have one. If they don't have one, then we need to go and actually visit. If we cannot go and actually visit, we still go through the process of allowing someone to take the product and microdose it to see if you want to carry it. And we microdose every product that comes in to our business. I will not sell a product if I or my business partner JW has not tasted or has not tried it. It's just that simple.
I'll just add on to that and say, not so much on the trusted source, but you can have a bag of mushrooms, take one piece and you're like, I feel nothing. And then the next one, it hits you different. So that's just something you need to be aware of. Not only do you have differences with regard to your own biology, but there are differences with the plant's biology. And you can have a mixed bag. You can have a bag where one piece in the same harvest, same bag, same plant just hits you different. And it's the beauty of nature, but it's something you should be aware of.
Great. Yeah, and you want to add to that, then?
Exactly, and just to add, I've had some weird conversations with some of our clients and patients. They'll call back and I don't feel a thing, nothing happened. I ate the whole thing, nothing has happened. I'm on my way back up. No, you're not. You're not getting in your car. You're not on your way back up. Within 24 to 48 hours, then come and visit me, because we don't know when it's gonna kick in. Everybody's different. So I just wanted to add to that.
That's great, that's great vision. So now let's really dig into the soil and let's talk to our only farmer, our only female farmer. Let's give it up for our. What should one consider when starting a mushroom farm or business?
Well, I'd say the first thing is you should join a great organization called NOFA New Jersey, and you should come to the first annual Mushroom Festival in Asbury Park on May 4th. And tickets are available, they're very limited. And you get to meet a lot of, maybe what you don't know in New Jersey is there are a good number of mushroom farmers in New Jersey right now. And the great thing is, for the most part, we really get along well, we really work together well, and I feel like it's a side effect of it being the mushroom. But more than that too is that with NOFA New Jersey, we've kind of tapped into the collective farming community. And so if you're going back to know your source, I mean, for me, it's all about local. It's all about stay local, stay as local as you can, know your source, even for your food, especially for your food. You know, like you eat more than you're going to take any medicine. So make sure that you know what your food source is. Unfortunately, our nutrition is declining because of the way we treat the soil. Fungus will help repair some of that, but they need farmers, and farmers need a community to support them. And COVID was a really nice time for farmers. It felt a lot of love. It's kind of declined, unfortunately, since then. So I would like to see, you know, a little more appreciation for the local farmers everywhere in New Jersey. If you're looking to get into farming, just know it's still farming. It's feeding people. It's just a reflection of the way the world is. It's not, you're not going to make $1 million. You're not going to, it's not going to, you know, it's not going to revolutionize your life that much, but not in a financial way. But in other ways, it's going to completely, it's the most satisfied I've been in my life. It does connect me to New Jersey, in a state that I've been in for a good 20 plus years, but I've always been like, how do I move out of New Jersey? How can I get out of it? And I don't feel that way anymore. I really just don't feel that way anymore. I feel like I'm here. I like Somerset County. I like my neighbors down the road and the farmers. So, you know, I love my customers who I see weekly at the farmers market. So I really think it is about connection in farming, but be realistic about what your expectations are with farming, with mushroom farming. It is a high value produce, but it is still produce. And you know, it's more work than you're going to think it is, even though it's an indoor cultivation setup. It's a lot of work. It's not. I'm there looking at my mushrooms, harvesting in my fruit room every single day. There's no day off. It's not any different than any other farming. And the other thing is, for me as a farmer, one of the struggles is also sourcing my raw ingredients. So if you're looking to set up, you know, make sure you have access to whatever it is, whether it's the compost, whether it's the sawdust, the grain. We did go organic last year, which adds another level of complexity to sourcing raw materials. So it's a challenge. It's fun. Just be ready for it.
Great. So then support your New Jersey farmers.
I only have a farm too. I'm not a mushroom farmer, but I would say I encourage farmers to impact policy as well. So think globally, act locally. So I love everything you said about local sourcing, but you need to know about the USDA. You need to go to things that are offered by your local university's agricultural departments and their programs, produce safety training, and also like organizations like NASDA, the National Association of State Departments of Agriculture. Attend one of their, their leadership meetings. Attend and let them know that you have a voice, and that's how we really expand the awareness around psilocybin being agriculture. So thank you for your insight.
Fantastic. Yes, Thunder.
And I just want to add to that too. I love what you're doing. There's a thing called agri-hoods. My background is real estate. I'm an appraiser for cannabis, and hopefully I'll be an appraiser for mushrooms soon. We're trying to work on some legislation to work with the forestry and all of that. But anyway, make a long story short, look up agri-hoods. Agri-hoods will allow you to be a part-time farmer in your community. And so there are communities out there that are doing farm to table, and it is part of their real estate. And so you can actually go into that process of purchasing real estate in those types of green zones. The other thing is you want to look up condominiums. That is a form of real estate that is a home, but it's also a barn, and you can get financing through and have land that you never even thought about at low interest rates and be able to do just what you're saying. And so those are some financial things that will help you if you want to get into this industry.
So just a follow-up to that, now that you talk about real estate, how do the principles of real estate investment and development apply to establishing sustainable and profitable fungi businesses?
Well, the first thing is you really need to own the real estate. You just do, because what happens is we're operating a legal business inside of an illegal area. And so a lot of those people that own real estate and land, they literally have a issue with you doing this business in their properties if you're leasing with their mortgage companies or with their banks. And so it has to be written in the lease that you're going to be doing what we're doing, whether it's CBD, cannabis, whether it's psilocybin or just growing mushrooms, because it will in some ways change the real estate. It changes the value in the community. Most of the time it raises the value of the property. But to how to do that is to actually own. The goal is to own. It's one word, own, if you can. And all of those people out there with your family, you own family properties, things like that, I always encourage them, do not sell, because what's going to happen is you don't know where you're going to land in this environment. And as we said before, we're living history. So your area, your property, whether it's retail, industrial, whether it's residential, you have no idea how it's going to land within this. So if you own property or if you can purchase property, I would suggest that you do it. So that's the physical real estate. Let's talk about the virtual real estate. Right now is the time to go on GoDaddy or whatever, Wix, wherever you want to go, and start buying domain names. I actually sell domain names. I will buy a domain name for $21 or maybe 50 cents if they're having a sale, and sell that domain name anywhere from $400 to $4,000. It is happening right now because I just sold Ember and Elixir.com, and I sold it for over $2,000. I paid $21 for it. Someone started a business. They did not do their research, but I didn't trademark it, but I owned the address. I owned that piece of virtual real estate. So start now. If you cannot get in this industry any other way, I know you got $30. Start by doing that.
Thank you, Heather. So I'm getting a question. Yeah, I'm getting the signal to wrap up. So I just like to go to each of the panels and just finishing and wrapping up. Give us some inspirational words on how someone get into entrepreneurship with mushrooms. Let's start with Cheryl.
For me, you have to follow your passion, but you also have to constantly educate yourself. There's no one who's a guru on the mountain that just without doing their research, they become experts. I always like to share that how I became an expert in cannabis was Google alerts. So I think my nugget for today is set up Google alerts for psilocybin, psychedelics in your state. I'm an HR person too. I do cannabis in HR, psychedelics in HR. Anything that's of interest to you, set up Google alerts. I have over 160 Google alerts where it delivers articles to me. So I'm always on top of what the latest information is, and I think that should be helpful for you all.
Jill?
I'm all about boots on the ground, show up everywhere. Anywhere there's a talk like this happening, shake hands, talk to people, get to know them, one-on-one interaction, and ask questions. You can never ask the wrong question. So, and that helps with the education, and yeah.
Fantastic. Jack.
I would say two things. You can never start too small. I started Blazing Bakery when I lost my job and I had unemployment for a little while, so I had a little runway, and then I got a credit card in the mail. I had nothing in the bank, I had no job, but I had enough to keep the lights on and a credit line for a couple $1,000s to start my business. And that was it. And it's like when you have one of those, phone games where, like a farmland type thing, you plant and then you do 2 and then you do 4, and you can scale organically, and there'll be a point that you take on investors, but by then you'll have taught yourself so much being a solopreneur that you kind of really kind of got your bearings with almost no startup capital. And then something Thunder said earlier, if you whether answer the phone, whether you know the answer or don't tell me you don't know the answer. You just say, yes, I'm an expert on that, absolutely. Hang up and Google it. But yeah, that's it.
Fantastic. Jill, Kim.
I agree with everything that these wonderful women said, but I think it's finding the niche in the market and becoming a fucking expert in your field. And you can Google, but you can take that 1 step or 2 steps further. The next step is getting books, listening and reading books, and getting many of them so you have perspective from many different views and many different lenses. And like Jill said, showing up. I used to show up to every single event. I used to go to every single event. Now I can't do that because I have a business doing over $2 million a year, so actually I have to work, which boo. Education, symposiums. I'm on the board of the CWCB Expo, and we have a psychedelics workshop that we're doing and a panel on it. Going to events with purpose and learning and listening is great, but if you don't have the time or you don't have the resources to attend some of the events that are not free, go back to the books. I started with books. How I learned how to grow cannabis in 2003 is I went into Borders, which isn't even in business, with a $50 bill that my ex-husband gave me and a baseball cap, and bought all of the books on how to grow, at Rosenthal specifically, how to grow weed at home. And I started growing weed, and now here I am with a company doing over $2 million a year, living my dream.
Any inspirational last comment?
So I would say books are great, and I would also say YouTube is an incredible resource for mushroom growing. I love the follow your passion, but for a long time I had no idea what that was. I accidentally got into this, and now I'm following my passion. So just start, it'll come, and now I really trust the journey. I have no idea what's next, but I know it'll be good. I know this was great. So thank you for having us.
Excellent. Thunder, finish us off.
Well, my first website that I had was called God Am I Ready? Because we get ready for everything. We get ready to get married, we get ready to have a child, we get ready as women, we get ready for everything. We're preparing for the prom, all of those things. And finally, I had to just say this to myself, I'm ready. And so are you. You are ready. You have the tools. There's something missing in this industry right now, and we need you. And so you already have it, put it together, put it on a blank sheet of paper, and start writing and doodling and figuring it out. And you don't have to have all the answers, but you are ready. And just step out. You truly, truly have to step out on faith on this one, because it is a legal market operating in an illegal market. And even you can text somebody and text them a legacy word, and all you're trying to do is get some white, there's cannabis out there that's white. And I text somebody and I said, hey, I want that snow. I didn't know.
It's out there.
it's a situation. But it's gonna be fun, and we are ready for you to start in whatever you're doing. And I'm a supporter, and that's the one thing that God is so amazing. If you don't know who he is, and to sit down and to be on a panel with all of the ladies that's here, and for God to call me and say, "Hey, Thunder, would you like to do this?" is amazing. I have friends now that they didn't know me back in the day. And I feel like I can call this one and this one and this one. I can call them, and I'm meeting new friends, and I can call them, and that's what this industry is about, because we will open the door for you and hold the door open for you. So just, God, am I ready? Yes, you are.
Another round of applause was wonderful. I want to invite everyone. There is an after party. The Justice Foundation is having our party in New York, in Harlem. I just want to make the drive on 126th and Lenox, or 126th and Malcolm X, 345 Malcolm X. Justice Foundation. We're celebrating legacy, all legacy. It's our Legacy to Legal party, and it's the anniversary of the MRTA in New York. You're all invited to come. Please join us. And let's hear from our sponsor, Teresa.
I'm allowed to ask a question?
Absolutely.
Yes, please.
So, first of all, this was fascinating shit. I came here today because I wanted to participate in Guys Hondo's event, but I also, and I've told him numerous times, I wanted to learn. I learned a ton today, so thank you all very much. That was amazing. I think my question is mostly for Aisha. And mostly about functional mushrooms specifically. So let's say theoretically, after all the stuff I learned today, I would like to start, because I take tinctures now, from talking to other people and everything I heard today. I'm interested in eating them. Does it matter how they're prepared? Like if I do something that I would normally do to culinary mushrooms, is it going to affect or maybe lessen somehow the effects?
That's a great question. So really, the answer is no. You must cook your mushrooms. Do not eat mushrooms raw. You really need to break open. They have the toughest cell wall. You need to break open that cell wall, which heat does. And as you cook it, it's becoming more nutritious. So you can steam them, grill them, just make sure it's a way that you like them so that you'll keep eating them, and just go for the banquet. Go try them all.
Thank you very much.
And let's wrap. Another question for this gentleman here. Yes, sir.
So, first of all, I'm so excited about being here because I have a background in culinary art. So when you were saying that you don't like to eat them, I have actually formulated a process with chocolate. But I found that dark chocolate is the better thing, substance to use, because when you add sugar to it, it's kind of like it's the potency. My question was, because I'm just starting off, is there a way to overdose? Because that's what I'm really frightened of. Actually preparing something that might be dangerous. So is there a way that I could determine, because I know what I like. I experienced it on myself, and I know what I like, but just like you said, because of, I guess, the weight or the, I guess.
So in the preparation, you want to know if there's a way you can potentially go to Tara.
Well, like I was saying before, to get it, and even before you make the chocolate, if that's what you're doing, get your source ingredient, test it, so you know how strong it is going in. And then the second thing, which was already said, was to start low and go slow. Take a tiny piece, especially if you're unsure what's in it. If you don't get it, test it. Take a tiny piece, so you're really not. And then, so if you look at fatal overdoses in emergency rooms, mushrooms are lower on the list, but they're not non-existent. So when we talk about cannabis, there's not no deaths from cannabis for people who had underlying conditions, maybe something, a heart condition but there's not a toxic amount of THC, where there is for psilocybin, so
I'm
that's.
just so fascinated that there's so many different types, because I only use penis implant. Ken, you say it didn't work for you, it just blew my mind. Everybody that I actually given some actually enjoyed it. But considering that I may need to try something else, this is great. I'm just happy.
This was amazing, so informative. Thank you guys so much. Kim, I have a quick question for you in terms of when you went through that description of how you'll do about 20 days essentially of microdosing and then maybe a month without. And my question to you is there a harm or a reason with which you wouldn't just continue to do it on this small dose on a daily basis, knowing what a benefit it's providing to you, right? So I guess the bigger question is, why stop?
Well, I think that there is this epiphany that I had that I wouldn't want to be on any medicine my whole life, right? I just want to live in the present and the now in the way that it is. And so my goal is when I'm medicating with medicine that there's an end. It's not just I have to be on medicine for the rest of my life. Also, like cannabis, you build a tolerance, and then all of a sudden it's not doing the things that it used to do for you. And that's when it's important to have a tolerance break so that your body can reacclimate to its homeostasis, its natural state. And so I think when you're thinking about it as a medicine, because microdosing for me is a medicine, I have an end. Because I'm not going to, I don't need to be on medicine my whole life, every breathing moment that I'm alive. It becomes, something more ritualistic when I need it rather than I've got to take it every single day. I take enough shit every single day. I don't want to have to take my medicine every day.
Can I ask you that? Sure. So, one thing with mushroom tolerances, which is interesting, is like for psilocybin, if you were to take it today and tomorrow, you have an immediate tolerance the next day, the very next dose. And similar with Amanita, but one thing that's interesting about it, it's called a reverse tolerance, where over time you will need it less. So instead of building up a tolerance to need more, it actually starts to heal you. So over time you won't need to take as much. So
Magic of fungi.
Yeah.
My name is Josh. This is my girlfriend, Jeanette. She's really good friends with Cheryl. And so I run a herbal tea and tincture business out of South Florida. We also do fresh juices. But I was like in obscurity because people were like, well, we know about melodies and how it helps with blood pressure and stuff like that. So I'm just inspired. I'm happy to be here. Thank you for staying, of course, in the individual lane. And I really connect with Aisha because you grow mushrooms, the substrate, stuff like that. So, I just appreciate y'all standing for us.
Thank you. Yes.
So I've got a question specifically around like the proposed legalization here in New Jersey. So I'm someone who's I'm a home adopted advocate. I'm owner of Big Five River Dispensary, and I'm now 10 years in recovery for opioid addiction. Psilocybin was the start of that journey. And psilocybin has kept me on that journey, with cannabis has kept me sober for 14 years. As part of legalization, I want to be able to see these substances used in a way to help address the opioid epidemic here in New Jersey. And I see it as something that can really change the game for substance use treatment here in New Jersey. But as far as like the rollout of legalization, are there ways that we can advocate more for accessibility, specifically for those communities that need it the most and might not have a large voice in being able to take part in that process?
Absolutely.
Well, I love what you just said, and you do have a large voice. What you just told us is huge. And so every legislator has to meet with the public. So you just need to make a phone call. They either have to take your phone call or they either have to meet with you. So you need to start, or not you, I don't mean to say it like that, but if you're interested, Start with the process of just being you with your story. And there's so many, you're not the first. So there's so many other people that have had either daughters or sons or have gone through what you've gone through. And just start the process of what you believe that this should look like. And your story is one of many that will be able to help them make decisions on how to bring this into the legal aspect in New Jersey, okay? And so that's where you want to start. And that's what I love about this, and that's why it goes back to the website. You're ready right now. Your story, you are already a success from where you were to where you are right now. And other people are needing your information on how you did it.
Yeah, I'll just add to that really quickly. I'm co-signing on everything, but as someone who changes policy all over the world, with cannabis and with mushrooms, psilocybin, psychedelics, just remember three things. Overarching is psychedelics are a recovery tool, cannabis is a recovery tool. It recovers people from chronic illness, it recovers people from addiction, and it recovers economies. So if you go in with those 3 points, you can speak to any legislator you want, any regulator you want, non-believers, and that's your argument, those 3 things, okay?
And specifically, S-2283 is the psilocybin bill, so you will go on the government's, the New Jersey site, and you put alerts in there, and you get alerts when those bills come up for committee, hearing meetings, so on, you can talk to your legislators. So I would follow that bill very, very closely. If you need more information, talk to me, because I'm also talking to legislators about that bill. And we're trying to shape that bill as well, for farmers, for manufacturers, for research, for addiction. And another drug you want to look up if you're really interested in addiction, Ibogaine, Ibogaine. Everyone in this room should Google that, look it up and study it. That's another big drug that we need to research.
And can I add, if you do want to hear more about Jessie's story, I interviewed her on her podcast, on my podcast, Trailblazing with Tiramisu, and it's absolutely inspiring.
Fantastic. Yes, ma'am.
You don't mind if I stand up, because
No,
I just want to make
please.
sure that what I say is heard. My name is Courtney. I am a former court advocate for both children and adults with IDD. I work as a support coordinator for people with IDD in the state of New Jersey. I'm also a person that has mental health issues. I have MS, outside things. I microdose for my mental health and to help with symptoms with MS. I'm nervous right now because I don't know what I'm speaking. I got up because I wasn't making sure that everybody heard what I was about to say. First, I wanted to commend you for saying your story because it is important. A lot of my young people's families have dealt with those issues. They are hard. And coming from a family that also has had substance issues, it's hard. So I wanted to make sure I took the time out to say that you'll see. Okay. Your question, I wanted to touch. I know they did as well. I had to make note because my brain works for me. I don't use I don't like to use the words use, things of that nature, because it is associated with addiction, right? So I know we've said it a lot today. I've said it earlier when I was speaking with Thunder Walker. Part of this journey for everybody will be making sure that you are conscious of the words that you're using because they matter. So especially when you're doing advocacy, and I know you know as an attorney, I'm an attorney right now, but as an attorney, I'm sure you know, words matter. So some of the words that I was told by a woman that I source plant medicine from in Hawaii is to say commune with, work with, because these plants are teachers. So when I do not work with psilocybin, it's because I don't need to be taught anything at that moment. I have to look at it that way because sometimes I need to figure out where my anger and frustration is coming from, right? Why I'm in so much pain. Sometimes it's self-inflicted because I sleep on it. You know? So I just wanted to say those things, just be mindful of your words, and
thank you.
Rashad, you want
Yes,
to
yes.
take us home? And is anyone else on the team? Where's the team? Natasha, Kenneth, come on up. Come on up. This is the team, guys.
This is the team. So hey, my name is Rashad Davis. I'm with Plantivia Wellness. We're a local CBD wellness shop here in Newark, New Jersey, down on Halsey Street. And what I wanted to get in front and say today that this was a crazy idea that I had. And 2 lessons that I learned from people in this room that probably don't know. One of them was this guy, Gary George in the back, that said, get out of your comfort zone, right? Meet other people, do all those things. So when I did that, I took my crazy idea and I met this guy named Guy, right? And Guy tells me, you're not crazy. You're actually thinking this is a great idea and I would love to help you with this. And so then I talked to Natasha and she was like, the Conservancy, we got to work it a little bit, but we would love to do that. So all that to say is like these crazy ideas that you have in your head, they benefit other people. It's not just about you. And I look at this work that we're doing, whether it's in cannabis or mushroom space, it's all about helping other people. So I want to say that, and I want to thank all of our partners, all the calls, all of the emails back and forth, our amazing all-female cast panelists. And so again, your work is important to somebody, whether it's 5 people, 10 people, or 10,000 people, your work, your value, everybody, there's a market for all of us. And I just want to say again, thank you to the Conservancy, and thank you to everybody who participated today, online and in person.
Thank you.
And for those of you live with us in person, we do have some mini mushroom empanadas, care of Chef Afi in the back, so please have some before you go. Thank you.
Let's get some pictures. Let's get some pictures.
I took some of what Yes. Now, I won't say this is not an iPhone, but we'll work with it. All right, 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3.
Hold on, Rashad's in. Which phone is this?
It's fine.
Okay.
I'll make sure everyone can share.
Hold up.
Where's Natasha?
She's coming.
I know.
All right. Okay, ready? And 3, 2, 1. The pink phone. One more. 3, 2, 1. Okay, very nice. I'm gonna do one with Guy's phone, and then we also have a great screenshot right here.
Someone should grab the mushroom.
Yeah, that's not a bad idea. I'll wait. Guy, her phone is shooting better. You're gonna just have to share. You have to share. Okay, ready? And then 3, 2, 1. Okay, last time. 3, 2, 1. Sweet. Okay.